Hello.
Hey everyone, welcome to Happiness Hunch. Today we're going to talk about some thoughts we have around the coronavirus.
Right.
Kind of seems to be on everybody's mind today, so we thought we'd throw in our 2 cents. So, we have been told lots of things, if you watch the media, that we need to wash our hands
Good
really
idea.
well. There's all these techniques
Getting
for doing it right. And that we should avoid public spaces with large gatherings. We should stay home. And
all of our activities have been canceled. So
yeah, pretty much. School, both of our college kids are doing online education. Campus was closed for our daughter. And so, yeah, everything's kind of shutting down. All the grocery stores are being raided, so you can't get toilet paper.
But we're not shutting down, are we?
Yeah, no.
We're not.
Yeah, no. So, but yeah, we've been hearing all these things. But what I wanted to do is ask you, what have we not been hearing about? Like in terms of sensible, common sense things that we could be doing that we don't hear on the media from health officials.
Well, I mean, I'm hearing all kinds of stuff, but it's probably because of who I'm listening to. So I don't know if everyone that's listening to this video has heard about vitamin C, using it therapeutically. We have been doing this for 10 years with viruses. And what we do is at the first sign of anything, we up vitamin C to 10K. Yeah, so that's like if you have
What does that mean?
If you have 1,000 milligram
10K.
capsules,
Is that like a race?
Yeah, it's a race to get rid of a virus.
Oh, okay.
So if every capsule, a lot of vitamin C comes in 1,000 milligram capsules. You can get that pretty readily. And so what you want to do if you have a threat of a virus and you're seeing the first symptom is to take 10 of those throughout the day. And also to take vitamin D to the same level.
That would be 10,000 ICUs.
Yes.
So we've been doing that for really a long time, especially during the wintertime.
Yeah.
And
we have staved off viruses and shortened viruses incredibly for 10 years with this method.
Yeah.
Now, we also don't consume a lot of sugar, and nobody's talking about that. I haven't heard one comment about sugar. And did you know that 1 teaspoon of sugar can impair your immune system for 4 hours? That's a long time.
Yeah. What about sleep?
And yes, of course. That one has been talked about, I think.
Keeping our stress low.
Right, right.
So there's a lot of things that we can be doing that actually strengthens our immune system, makes us more resilient and resistant.
Right.
And it's kind of a lifestyle thing, though. Like, you have to kind of get into a pattern of lifestyle. Like, for example, the vitamin D thing, I heard from a doctor, it was
in Denver.
When we were living in Colorado, he said, I take 10,000 ICUs of vitamin D every day, and when something's going around, like the flu...
I use.
I use. Well, obviously,
10,000.
I'm not a medical doctor, but I got that wrong. I use.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's embarrassing. But anyway, so I speak with such authority on this subject.
No, we are not doctors and we're not giving medical advice, but we are telling you we've had huge success with viruses for 10 years, and so.
Fighting the virus.
Right, fighting.
Fighting the viruses.
And the thing is they're with us all the time. They're on the surface of everything. They are in our lives whether we want them to be there or not, and so, but we don't want to give them room to grow. And these are the things that we can do. So,
Yeah, so I just think it's interesting that there are kind of like a lot of things that we do hear about, but there's a lot of common sense things that we don't hear about. And this, I think, is based upon, there's like 2 theories of illness and disease that kind of float around there. And one is that, an illness or a virus or bacteria is like, there are these things out there that are trying to attack us.
Yeah,
and
monsters.
they're invading, and therefore we have to fight them off. And so if you think about it, you're like, this is what creates a lot of fear, because like with bacteria and viruses, you can't see them. And therefore, you when you feel like they're attacking you and they're out there trying to get you, like you want to obsessively clean every surface, when you hear things going around. But the truth is, like you just said,
they're there all the
they're
time.
Always there, all the time. So, it's good to practice good hygiene all the time, not just when you're hearing the news go around. And it's also good to, it is good to wash your hands and clean your house on a regular basis and things like that. But the other theory is more like that disease and sickness comes from a degeneration of the interiority of your body. Like inside, you're not really healthy, so you're very susceptible to things. And so, medicine, it kind of goes back and forth. And I think, personally, in my opinion, the truth is it's probably both things, right? So they kind of play off of each other. If we're not very healthy to begin with, then we're more susceptible to getting sick when we encounter a bacterial, or a viral infection, or get an infection
But how do we
from those
know
things.
if we're healthy? I'd like to pose the idea that if you're on medications of one sort or another, anti-inflammatories, whatever, that is definitely a signal that there's work to be done. And so, because it's just good to have a definition of what does it mean. A lot of people think they're healthy, but if we're on a lot of medications, that is not a sign of health, and it is not normal. So,
but I also think, too, just day to day, a lot of people are not on a lot of medications, but they're not very healthy because they really don't eat. They're high stress, you don't get a lot of sleep, probably don't exercise. I mean, it's all the typical lifestyle stuff. But this is what happens is that when a pandemic goes around, it leads to pandemonium and fear.
Right. And what do people do? They probably are succumbing to their sugar friend because they think they might find some relief, there. I've seen a couple people say this. I just keep eating chocolate. Well, I mean, I love chocolate too, and we've had some, but
I think the bigger thing is just that people are afraid.
Yes.
If people were responsible and good stewards of their body all the time,
the fear would go down.
Yeah, you're just not as afraid because I mean, for the last 10 years, we have seen the flu season come 10 times. And we've never done the flu vaccine, and we haven't had it one time in our family.
Right.
Any of us, our kids, anybody. And, we're not perfect. Our kids aren't perfect, too, but overall, we have a baseline that we stick to.
A baseline of health.
And, in terms of what we eat and what we keep out of our bodies, the amount of sleep we try to get, exercise, trying to keep stress as managed as we can.
And faith is certainly a component that gives a lot of peace. It gives you that interior peace, which calms your body down. So it is a very important piece of the whole thing.
Yeah. So anyway, that was kind of like the first part. I just wanted to point out that, there's so much that could be communicated in our media about what to do to prepare for something like this. But it seems like the only voice we're hearing is this theory of disease and health. It's like this virus is out, it's invading our world and attacking us. And that does create a lot of fear because you can't see an airborne virus, right? So the thing is if you just have a little bit more confidence in the resilience of your own immune system and you support that system and build it up, you can be less fearful. It's not that you shouldn't be cautious and careful and smart and prudent.
And viruses are particularly sneaky and crafty. So I've watched a lot of health videos since this whole thing started in January, and I've learned a lot more about viruses, and they are a very sneaky microbe. So
yeah. Okay, so another thing that, there's things that we can learn from this experience. At moments like this when life becomes very unusual and uncharacteristic of what we're accustomed to, and everything gets shut down and everything feels kind of, it's a little scary and unnerving. So it's sort of like, it's a good time to pause, sort of, and reflect on what do we take for granted? What do we not appreciate? What are we not grateful for? So one thing that comes to my mind is what I've noticed in all of this is what I consider sort of like an ethical inconsistency. So in other words, there are many other things in our society that routinely, on an annual basis, take the lives of many people that are vulnerable.
Right.
But suddenly, with this, we're just obsessively concerned about the vulnerable. So even though, and we've probably seen these statistics on TV, that, the flu takes way more lives, there's heart disease, there's traffic accidents, there's all sorts of things.
Right.
But yet
notice
how we mobilize ourselves and all the energy and all the resources. I mean, imagine what would happen if we actually were that focused and that concerned about all of the things that make the vulnerable people in our society susceptible to dying prematurely. So, what if we were in a society that was thinking ahead and always trying to figure out well, how can we use our resources right now, not because there's some sort of crisis on our hands, but just right now to try to alleviate suffering and try to help people, get well or be safe. Or, maybe we should wash our hands more. Maybe we should stay home more from public events when we are sick, not just because we're being told this.
It's a very charitable thing to do.
Right, because we actually think about how what we're doing might affect other people. So, ethical consistency. Talk a little bit more about just having a sense of solidarity with the vulnerable, and like we've decided to kind of back out of stuff. Why have we done that?
Yeah, well, we have, just because, with this virus in particular, the elderly are, the ones that are going to be most affected and suffer the most from this. And we just don't want to be a part of spreading it. So there's certainly the reality that pulling back socially can help the virus to sort of move through more quickly and hit less people. I mean, I notice every winter there will be like little 3 weeks sections of time, kind of at the beginning of winter, in the middle, and then at the end, about this same time, where we'll have like 3 weeks of people coughing and hacking, and I'm like, yep, there goes another virus. And I say this every year, but so this year, because it is a more virulent virus, we just don't want to participate in anyone suffering. So we are just pulling out and pulling back, and there's actually a lot of advantages to that too. So I don't know if you were planning to talk about any of that, but
Well, just it's given us time. Quite honestly, all the things have been canceled. It's kind of a relief.
I know, we're like,
like March Madness is off. Like,
right.
I don't have to watch that. Not that I.
Yeah, we weren't going to watch it.
Yeah, we weren't going to watch it. Let's be honest. But anyway, there's just a lot of things. It's like life has slowed down. It's like, wow, this is kind of like the way it used to feel more when I was a kid.
Right.
So more time. Again, with the family,
right?
We just started kind of relaxing and taking life a little bit more leisurely.
And doing things to keep our spirits up. We're like talking about music, and we're doing this puzzle right now, which is actually, I'm going to have to order a second one because we're making so much progress now because we have the time to really work on it. But things like that, playing games, just hanging out, watching a family movie. So there's just a lot of things to embrace about this moment in time. Meanwhile, still praying for our friends, our neighbors, our relatives, and still in our whole country, really, to come out of this. Because this is going to be an economic cross for sure. We're not doing things and spending money in the same ways. The poor people who didn't have stock in toilet paper, though, look out.
Yeah, right.
we could have had a boon, and we didn't know it in time.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's another thing I'd like to say is that again, the pandemic is creating pandemonium, and so everybody is like rushing to get their stock.
right.
Again, it's like, really, do we really need to do that? If everybody would just kind of settle down and pace ourselves, and there's a lot of ways life can just continue on as normal, even though we kind of scale back, but we kind of go into panic mode and everybody rushes to go stock up. It reminds us of Y2K. Remember Y2K?
Yes.
And everybody,
we got the heater.
Yeah.
We did get the heater.
Yeah, we did. We got the heater, but we never used it. Anyhow.
We never ran out of toilet paper or water, and none of that stuff ever happened. We do have a limited supply. I keep telling the boys, okay, take it easy on the toilet paper because the shelves are empty.
Yeah.
But it's crazy.
Yeah. So anyhow, it's kind of crazy. Well, we'll wrap up. I think, our happiness hunch for today is just that it's a lot better in moments like this to act out of a love for what is good rather than out of a fear for what we think is evil. Mm-hmm. It just changes our thinking. It changes our calculus, how we evaluate our decisions and what we do and what we don't do. So there's a lot of things we can always be doing to be good stewards and be thankful for what we have. Never take for granted all of the services and support structures that we have around us. And then just be measured in our actions. If we're focused on what's good, then we become good stewards. If we are always reacting out of fear, then we usually act more self-centeredly or more desperately and graspingly at whatever it is. And that's what we see going on right now. So,
and that's no way to live.
Yeah.
No.
So anyhow, that's our happiness hunch for today on coronavirus. So be sure to share any comments that you have. Maybe you have some anecdotes, maybe you have some good tips to help us all focus on what is good and being good stewards of the good things that we have, and to be less fearful and not to operate and act out of fear.
Right.
All right.
Amen.
So next time, we'll see you next time on our next video. Until then, be sure to like this video and share if you feel so inclined.
All right. Take care, friends.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.